It's the Brad and John Show.
It is the Brad and John Show. This is B Block. We start this at about 7:20 or so. Today's date is March 27th, and it is a Thursday. One more day. Actually, it's the last Thursday in March. Hard to believe. Tomorrow will be the last Friday in March because April 1st is Tuesday, which should be interesting, John. Okay. Sometimes there's things in the news that, I don't know what people are thinking, okay? Did you hear the story about what state was this from? The legislator, the lady who says that men and women's bodies are the same and they have both the same strength and endurance and stuff like that. Have you heard this one?
No, I'm guessing, is that like the state of Oregon or is that the state of California?
I had it here in front of me. Let me pull it up here real quick. It was, okay, hold it. It was, The headline is, it's opening right now. Dem lawmakers suggest females athletically equal to males while voting to keep trans athletes in sports. The lady is Pennsylvania Democrat State Senator Lindsey Williams gave controversial testimony at the state capitol on Wednesday while opposing a bill that would ban trans athletes from girls' sports. Williams, in prepared remarks ahead of the committee vote on the Save Women's Sports Act, suggested that female athletes are physically comparable to male athletes and don't face biological disadvantages. John, what world is she living in? Now, I will say there are some men who could have the living crap beat out of them by women. But for the most part, wouldn't you say that if you take your average man and your average woman, that the average man can lift more weight, can punch harder, can kick harder, can throw a baseball farther, can throw a javelin farther? Isn't that pretty much established, fact?
Yeah, and I think that, I've been exploring a lot lately, and I think a lot of it has to do with my work with you, Brad. The concept of exceptions guy. So if somebody says, hey, generally men are stronger than women, they have more upper body strength. Exceptions guy will come in and be like, whoa, but what about the fact that there's a really strong woman that I knew in 11th grade and she could out bench press one of the boys in 11th grade. There's always going to be exceptions guy that points to the exception. And I think the definition of leading a sane life is you and I can have a discussion, Brad, and acknowledge the truth that men are stronger than women. So when exceptions guy comes in, or exceptions woman here comes in and says, no, that's not true. Women are just as strong as men. We can dismiss them because it's just not true. And I don't think anybody, even in the trans community, would listen to this woman say this and actually believe that women are as strong as men. So I'm guessing not only does she want praise from the trans community and media, but she just wants attention because she knows it's not true.
Okay, let me read another quote she said. I want all girls to know they're elected officials like me who would never underestimate your ability to beat a boy at their own sport, because that's what the premise of this bill assumes, that female bodies are less than male bodies, that girls are at an automatic disadvantage and can't possibly compete against boys, even though girls do it every day. Okay. Once upon a time, our now president, but before he was president, in between the interim when Biden was president, Donald Trump said one day that he was going to buy a WNBA team, fire all the women, hire LeBron James when he retires from the NBA, hire LeBron James, and hire a bunch of, what is the G League in NBA? Isn't that like the minor leagues in NBA? A bunch of G League.
Yeah, or the European League.
The European League and things like that. Or a bunch of college guys who were like college stars who couldn't make it into the NBA. And essentially hire all those guys and make them declare that they are now women and they would win every single game, okay? Do you deny that would happen, John? Don't you agree that would be like the odds in Vegas? They wouldn't even give you odds on that because of the fact that they know they would lose, right?
It would be an exhibition game. Yeah, it would be a good clinic of skills. And it would also be unfair to the female athletes because you're putting them in a position where they could get injured.
Yes.
Like, depending on where a woman is in her menstrual cycle, she has more joint laxity at certain points of her cycle. Women are way more likely to get MCL and ACL tears when they're at certain points of their cycle. So there's just a whole host of reasons why women could get injured playing against men.
Is that true? Or are you just making that up?
You didn't know that?
No.
Hey, I'm going to pull a Brad Hildebrand from the BS show. Shelly, you didn't know that? You didn't know that women are 4 times more likely to get an ACL tear when they're at a certain point in their menstrual cycle? Yeah, it's absolutely true.
Wow. Man, he pulls an insult out of the BS shows days. No, but I just, sometimes you see these things that people say, and these are our quote unquote leaders, elected officials, and you go like, what what planet do they really live on? You know what I mean? I don't get it. I mean, how in the world can anybody say that? Because of the fact that the opposite, because the crazy part of this is, if that were true, what she's saying they're equal, then why do the transgender athletes, like the guy, Leah Thomas, and there's been transgender weightlifters, why do they always crush the women athletes once they essentially become, quote unquote, a woman? How come they're so good and they stand out above? And let's ask Riley Gaines what she would think about that. I mean, she would go head to head with this woman and go, honey, you are living in some alternate universe. This is not the case. Do you think Riley Gaines, who was an incredible swimmer in her day, she swam for Kentucky, wasn't that where she was from? Didn't she swim for Kentucky?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Do you think that she could go into the men's NCAA swimming championship and even come close to placing top 3? I don't think I got a feeling if she was like in the finals or something like that, and nothing against her, but she probably would be the last person. I mean, I just don't understand this kind of stuff. You see this kind of stuff and you just go like, okay, whatever. Okay, the NPR and the PBS ladies yesterday on Capitol Hill. Did you by any chance watch this testimony?
Yeah, absolutely not.
Oh my God. The lady who runs NPR, Miss Maher, Maher, Maher. Maybe she's related to the guy on TV. It's so interesting because of the fact that it's sort of like the John Kennedy thing. He's in the Senate. These are reps. They do their research, and I don't know which one of the reps was like asking her these questions. They went back and they looked at her Twitter page, and she is just dead meat when it came to that, because they kept asking her all these questions, and she would say, and he would say, like, well, do you believe the blah 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 blah? No, I don't. And then the rep would come back and say, well, on December 24th, 2021, you said this, and then she goes, I don't remember. I'm going.
Yeah. Now, real quick, I mean, it is possible that she has somebody that does all her social media for her. So if they're pointing to Facebook posts or threads or tweets, it's entirely possible she never saw the stuff that was posted in her name.
Okay, but one day, let's say I hack into the John.
You are responsible for your own social media, et cetera. Go ahead, Brad.
Right. I hack into the John Combest site.
Yeah, we get it. Go ahead. Keep going on with your story.
And I put in crazy stuff, and you go, hey, it wasn't me.
We're not going to belabor stuff this week. Go ahead. Get on with your story.
Well, the point, what's interesting about it is that they had this guy, and Mark Reardon has him on the air all the time. I think his name's Mark Gonzalez. You know who I'm talking about, this guy?
No.
Okay. He's done a lot of research on this, and he was one of the guys that testified. And then they had our buddy Yuri Berliner testify as well, too. And what his statistic was, in the Washington, D.C. newsroom of NPR, 47 Democrats and how many Republicans, John?
0.0.
Now, the interesting part of that is, how can anybody say you don't have a biased news product when everybody in the newsroom is a Dem? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Hey, we talk about it on this show every day in B Block, Brad.
I mean, it's just crazy time. And the other thing about it was, I still say, when the PBS thing, some of the representatives, the Democratic representatives were pushing back on the PBS. Well, they help kids learn to read, and they do Sesame Street. I guess the thing that bothers me about that is there's CTW, children's, what is it? Is it children's
television network?
Television CTW, Children's Television Workshop is the private.
Oh, okay, yeah.
The private company that owns Sesame Street. They make gonzo bucks. I mean, they make so much money because guess what? You can go to the store and you can buy an Ernie doll and you can buy a Cookie Monster doll and stuff like that. So why are they allowed to do that? I mean, if it's not for profit, You know, I mean, how are they able to have a foot in two oceans, if you know what I'm saying?
Well, I think that you should be able to go, like I should be able to go to K-Love in a few weeks and be able to buy some sort of, trinket that says, I love the former KDHX. I don't know.
Do we want to talk about that? And
Yeah, go ahead. Hey, this is B block and C block are Brad monologue blocks. Go, just get into it, Brad.
I don't want to make a monologue. I want to have conversations, John.
No. I want to hear. No, I want to hear because there was an update yesterday on. I'm sure you saw this on STL today about the tower and everything with KDHX.
Well, I saw the thing on STLPR.org, and I thought was very interesting about this is because of the fact that when KWMU announces they're going to essentially have a transition from the University of Missouri to the Friends of KWMU, there's no information available. But when St. Louis Public Radio writes a story about another radio station changing hands, there's tons of information on this STLPR.org.
Oh, yeah.
account.
What a dichotomy there.
What is wrong with that? Why?
Yeah.
If you're on the inside, don't you think you would have tons of information to put on your website about, well, St. Louis Public Radio is going to be taking over the reins of the station and we're going to be spending $3.2 million to buy the license from the university curators. But no, they don't know anything about it. The thing that's sad to me about this is, and I've said this before, this is what K-Love does. K-Love will put, maybe they don't even do it this way anymore. They might even do it all with the internet. But once upon a time, the K-Love people came knocking at my door, wanted to buy this very station, okay? And they told me, we'll fire the entire staff. The entire staff will be fired. We will have no one here at the radio station. We'll put in a satellite dish at the transmitter site. We will take the output of the satellite dish, put it into the input of the transmitter, and 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, it's K-Love. No local programming, no local information, no local news, no local. And the thing that bothers me most about this is you had a whole group of people, local citizens here in the St. Louis area, who had a show. They learned the radio business. They learned how to run a board, or what we call a board. It's a console with all these knobs and buttons on it. They sat in the studio. They interacted with their fans. They talked on the air. They talked on Facebook. They promoted their shows. They did interesting things. All gone. Bang. One day, well, they're all gone already. Because
and isn't that evolution? So, it was their choice to volunteer at a radio station where management didn't take profit or actually executing on a plan seriously. So they should be blaming themselves for working at a radio station where management doesn't take profit seriously. So when when somebody gets mad and has a big fit because the station's not making money, he should blame himself, or these people should blame themselves because they chose to volunteer at a station that doesn't take profit seriously.
But it's not supposed to be. But the nature of the beast is there's no profit involved in that because it's a not-for-profit organization. And if you read the story about it, is a bunch of the people came together and they raised money. I think they had $100,000 they could throw into the pot, and they could get another $100,000. And the crazy thing about this is the deal with the tower. Okay, most radio stations do not own their own towers anymore. They don't. They've been sold off to Crown Castle and Vertical. There's a bunch of American Tower and stuff like that. And if KDHX had financial problems, they could have easily sold the tower, probably gotten $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 for the tower. Okay. The problem is, I still say this. The real story behind this is the board of directors, whoever these people are putting money in their pockets over this deal. And the interesting part of this is, John, let me run this by you. Your opinion on this is, if you read the bankruptcy proceedings, the number 2 creditor that was owed the most money is
a PR firm. A woman named, I forgot her name, but yeah, she's owed about $80,000.
Okay, what in the world is a public radio station that's supposedly not for profit spending money for a PR firm? They're not enough volunteers that this radio station that have Twitter accounts and Facebook accounts and other social media accounts who could do all this kind of public relations stuff. What's the deal with that? Why would you pay a public relations firm?
I think they absolutely should have. First of all, I think, not knowing anything about this PR firm, I went to their website because I was curious about them. They look like they have experience working with a lot of civic groups. It's their fault, and I think they would take responsibility for this. If you get involved with KDHX and you don't kick the tires of their financials and you think you're ever going to get paid, it goes back to my previous thing from 3 minutes ago, which is you should be blaming yourself for volunteering at a station that will never execute on a plan or make money or pay you. So the PR firm should be blaming themselves for this. But secondly, if you want a professional operation, and Brad, this isn't about you, but like you've been in radio for 50 years. Do you think you do a good job on social media?
But John, the point is, I agree with you. If I had money, I'd hire a social media firm. But the problem is, if you don't have the budget, these people should take the Dave Ramsey course. They should all go to take Dave Ramsey course. Why would they spend money on something that, and see, I still say, when I read that, I thought to myself, and I'm going to say something right now, and whoever this lady is who runs the PR firm, I think she's on the inside. I think she's on the inside of this deal because if you know the way the bankruptcy proceedings happen, she's going to be guaranteed payment. She's essentially, if she's number 2 on the list, she'll get cash out of this deal. She's not going to walk away with no money. Maybe she won't get her full $80,000, but she'll get some amount of that money. But the other point of it was that, what was it? Who wrote the story for St. Louis NPR, St. Louis Public Radio? Do you have that in front of you there? I don't have the story right up right now.
Yeah, I have access to Google like most people, and it's Jeremy D. Goodwin.
Okay, but you're much quicker than I am, so that's why. I'm an old guy, remember? They talked about that none of the board members had, when NPR, St. Louis Public Radio, KWMU, whatever we call them, I think for 2 years they've been trying to get a statement out of the people, and they won't talk. I mean, how ridiculous is that?
The KDHX won't talk?
No, it said if you read the article, it said that they said that whoever the reporter was, we've tried to talk to these. I'm paraphrasing this. We've tried to talk to management at KDHX for the past 2 years, and they will never set up an interview with us. Okay. I say right away, red flag, red flag, red flag, red flag, because of the fact that if you're stonewalling somebody, you're hiding something. You know, I mean, you're just hiding something. If you don't have a problem with talking with the press, and once again, if these people are public radio people, they're skilled in the art of communication, why won't they sit down with another public radio person and say, okay, here's the scoop. You know what's going on, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, I think maybe there's something in their chain of command. Maybe they have multiple chiefs and nobody can decide who wants to say something. Maybe they're embarrassed about their financial position and they don't want to talk openly about it. I mean, the other thing is KDHX doesn't owe you an answer. They don't owe St. Louis Public Radio an answer. They owe their employees an answer, and I think that's why they're employees. But again, if you choose to volunteer at a radio station and you kick the tires of it and you say, well, they have no serious plan to make money, they have no vision, they don't execute on anything, maybe I'll go there and turn things around. I'll inspire him to be a better businessman. Like, how foolish are you for entering into that relationship? So you should blame yourself for volunteering at a radio station. Don't blame the incompetent, bumbling ownership. Blame yourself.
You're missing my point. My point is that these people are gaining radio skills which they can use to go further down the road. I started out as an unpaid intern at the original KSLQ. Just yesterday or the day before, I heard Annie Fry on 97.1 talk about her beginning as a radio, where she went to, I think, Lewis and Clark Community College. She got an internship at KFNS, and she talked about the fact that when her internship was done, they asked the college if they could continue her internship as an unpaid intern, okay? So she essentially did her internship through the college, got that done, and then she continued to work for free for KFNS. And she came out and said, if it wasn't for the fact that I continued to work for KFNS, I would not be here today. And that's my point. She gained those skills. And the crazy thing about it is, big picture thing, okay? Why would you go to a university and pay the university for a crappy education? And to a certain extent, my education at SIU Edwardsville was crap when it came to really understanding the radio and television radio business. Why would I pay them when I can go to some place and essentially not get paid, but not have to pay them and get great skills at learning
It is
something?
A great thing when you're 22 years old. If you're at KDHX and you're in what are your prime earning years, and you're volunteering it for a radio station that'll never make money, then that's your decision. Follow-ups from earlier in this segment. The woman who runs AHC Consulting is named Allison Hawk. She's the woman that you claim is on the inside that will get paid by this. I doubt that she helped engineer the station's downfall so that she could get paid. Also, for folks looking for radio opportunities, I was on this website on the careers section earlier this morning, Brad. There's KLove has a great careers page. You can find it at klove.com. And also from earlier, when we're talking about trans athletes, female athletes are at a higher risk for ACL tears at certain points in their menstrual cycle, particularly during the ovulatory phase, when they have increased ligament laxity and therefore risk injury, particularly to the ACL. So if women are ovulating, they're more likely to tear their ACL than any other time.
John, we're just a font of information, aren't we? I mean, the stuff that comes out of this show, I mean, Wikipedia wilts in comparison to us on this show, don't they?
Yeah, well, especially when you don't update Wikipedia for 5 years and then you read it and you're like, wow, this is terrible results.
Boy, Brad's getting torn up this morning by John, I'm telling you. Okay,